Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to a very special episode of The Spread. This is our 250th episode ever. Love it.
Please believe. Less than a year. Love it.
Gotta love it.
Still less than a year, too, man.
Please believe we started in week 2 of the NFL last year and is now, week 14 of the Major League Baseball season?
Are we going to be able to average one per day? I think we're going to fall under that.
One video per day? I don't know.
Gonna have to
Football season starts September 11th. That's only a few weeks away.
Yeah.
We need to do like 116
I don't
segments.
know about a few weeks.
Well, you only have August, dude. There's 2 weeks left in July, 4 weeks in August, and then 1 week in June. That's a few weeks, man.
Well,
it's like 6-7 weeks.
We have about 3 weeks left this month. 4 next month. Right?
You got 20 days. That's not 3 weeks.
Almost. No, actually.
It's closer to 3 weeks than 2 weeks.
Hey, if it's not 3, it's not 3.
Whatever.
Believe it.
Let's move on to this segment.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we were doing a segment. We got our extra bases segment for you. Who are we talking about? Cole Hamels?
Cole Hamels or Johnny Cueto? Which one would you rather have here?
Cueto, he's younger.
At the deadline.
Segment's over.
Okay, we'll cut it then. Well, let's take a look at some available frontline starters here. You got Jeff Samardzija, who is 6-4 with a 4.02 ERA, 125.1 innings pitched. He's allowed 130 hits already, though.
Who's he playing for? The A's?
The Chicago White Sox.
White Sox.
He was traded to the A's last season, and then he signed with the White Sox after the season was over. Now, he's not having that great of a season, but he still has dominating type stuff. Just 23 walks and 102 Ks. So while his ERA isn't there, all these other numbers look pretty good for him. And he went 7 innings or more, 3 earned run or less in 5 of his last 6 starts. So he's starting to turn it around. In his last start in Toronto, 9 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks, and a win. So it looks like he's turning back into what he looked like for the Cubs, at the beginning of last season. And then you got Clay Buchholz. He actually left his start yesterday with tightness in his forearm, though. So you're going to have to wait and see what happens with him because he could be done for the season.
He just needs to get a shake weight. It'll fix him up.
But recently, he has been dominating. Previous to his last start, when he was removed with that injury, he had 4 straight starts where he went 7 innings or more with 1 earned run or less and 1 walk or less. He was 4-0 in those 4 starts, too. So he was back to pitching like an ace, although he's a very inconsistent pitcher. He's showed this in the past, and he's showed he can be terrible at times, too. But right now, he has a 3.26 ERA, 113.1 innings pitched, 114 hits, 41 earned runs, just 6 home runs, 23 walks to 107 Ks is an excellent rate as well. So Clay Buchholz is having a great season, and he'd be a nice piece because he's cheap and he has some years left on his contract too. So if Boston were to trade him, they're starting to get back in the race a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck with Buchholz. But he could become available, and he could be a nice piece to a rotation.
What do you think? He's 1, 2, or 3 in a rotation. Where would you put him?
3.
Yeah, I'd like him at 3, but he can pitch like a number 1. I mean, he's been doing it the past month, so I mean, really, you could take him as a number 2 and be happy as well. I really want him as your number 1 starter, though.
No, the last guy we're going to talk about is James Shields. Yeah, he's 7-3 with a 3.88 ERA, 111.1 innings pitched, 105 hits. He's allowed 48 earned runs, coming off of 17 home runs and 36 walks to go along with 126 strikeouts. His last start against Pittsburgh, he pitched 7 innings, gave up only 2 hits. He was actually very good in this game.
Excellent.
Walked 1, struck out 3. They ended up losing 2-1, but I mean, hardly the fault of him.
Yeah, the Padres actually lost the last 6 times he started. So it's not him that's terrible, although he's not pitching like himself either. 17 home runs in 111 innings. That's too much. He got to get that home run rate down, and I expect it to go down, and I think he'd be a nice piece for a rotation as well as a number 1 or number 2.
Well, I actually thought he'd thrive going to San Diego, coming over from the American League. I mean, he hasn't pitched bad this year. I mean, like I said, the home run increase in Petco Park's actually what's really has me concerned.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I expect it to go down, though. It's kind of, I just see it as a little bit of a fluke, and really, I'd like to see him come to the Pirates.
I wouldn't mind it, but my thing with James Shields is he's never really pitched all that well in the postseason.
Right.
He's always got touched up a little bit.
Well, speaking of touched up in the postseason, Johnny Cueto got rocked by the Buccos the one year. Now, this guy, he's 6-5 this season, a 2.61 ERA, an 0.87 WHIP, 113.2 innings pitched, just 78 hits, 33 earned runs. Now, he did let up 11 home runs. Not terrible, not great, but 21 walks to 111 Ks. Opponents hitting just 190 off of him, the same as Francisco Liriano. These two dudes are unhittable, but Cueto is the better pitcher out of him and Liriano, definitely. But Cueto, he was dominant last season as well. In fact, did he win the Cy? No, he did not win the Cy Young. But he was right up there with Clayton Kershaw for the Cy Young. And he's 2-0 in his last 2 starts, 6 hits over 17 innings pitched in that span, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 19 Ks. This guy's still dominating. The thing that scares me with him is, although, like you said, Jim, he's the younger guy, he's 29 years old. Not that that's real young. He's 5'11", and he's always been injury prone before these past 2 seasons. And really, short guys like this, they tend to be injury prone, so I'd be a little bit scared with it. But again, he's in a contract year, so he's in the last season of a 5-year, $36.2 million deal. So if someone was going to bring him over, it's just for the end of the season. You really don't have to worry about injuries too much.
Yeah, if you're a team who's on the cusp and Cueto can definitely pitch like a number 1 and you think he can help your rotation, man, you got to go after it.
Just look at some of these stats this year. 3 walks or less in all 16 starts, 2 walks or less in 14 of those starts, 3 earned runs or less in 12 of those starts, 6 innings or more in all but 1 start, and 7 innings or more in 12 of those 16 starts. So he's a pretty consistent, dominating pitcher for you. Really, the health concerns haven't been there over the past 2 years. So whether you want to keep him just for the end of this season or sign him long-term after the season, I think he'd be a great piece of this rotation. But would you rather have him or the lefty Cole Hamels, who's a little bit older? He's more of a frontline build type pitcher, 6'3", 195 pounds, and he's signed through 2018. So you're going to have some time with this guy, although he is expensive.
I've always liked Cole Hamels personally. I mean, he got roughed up a little bit yesterday, and in 3 1/3 innings, he gave up 9 earned runs against San Francisco. I actually saw his ERA jump 61 points from 3.02 to 3.63. I mean, but other than maybe a few bad starts, I mean, he's actually quietly been very good on a bad Phillies team this year. Yesterday included. Now he's 5-6. He has an ERA at 3.63 on the season.
Yeah, and like you said, right before this last start, it was 3.02, so he was dominating up until this last start, really.
That obviously rose his whip up a little bit. Now sits at 1.22. He's actually thrown 116 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 105 hits, 47 earned runs, 12 home runs, 37 walks on 123 strikeouts. So, I mean, he's still striking out better than the batter an inning.
Yeah, opponents not hitting him very well either, just a 237 average. And really, you mentioned those 12 home runs, but 7 of those came in his first 3 starts of the season. So he actually only let up 5 home runs over his last 15 starts.
He's thrown 100-plus pitches in 15 of 18 starts this season. So, I mean, he's a horse. He's going to go up there and he's going to give you some innings.
Please believe. And he's been dominating all season. 2 earned runs or less in 12 of those starts, 3 walks or less in 16 of those starts, including 12 straight and counting. And he went 6 innings or more in 15 and 7 innings or more in 11 of 18 starts. So, like you said, this guy is known as a workhorse, and really, I trust him more than I would trust Johnny Cueto down the stretch.
I'd love Cole Hamels in the Bucco rotation.
It'd be nice. He's very expensive, though.
He would be very expensive. But I mean, out of those two, contract-wise, I got to look at Hamels, and I'll tell you why. Because, I mean, if you want to try to keep Cueto, assuming he's not going to be a 2-month rental for you, the Phillies are at least going to pick up a little bit of that contract, and you're going to have him at least 2 more seasons.
But you also got to remember, Cole Hamels is going to cost you a lot more in terms of prospects because Cueto, he's a rental, and the Reds know that, and they're still going to command a couple good players. Like, you'd have to give up something good for him, but Cole Hamels is going to probably take a lot more because they know they're giving up a guy that's going to be in someone's rotation for the next 3 seasons, including the end of this season. So really 3.5 seasons. And it depends on what you want, really. If you're looking for a guy just for the rest of this season, like if I was the Pirates, I would say Johnny Cueto's the better guy because they have their rotation, their future rotation already planned out.
Right. Whereas
Johnny Cueto wouldn't be a part of that. They can bring him in, and their rotation would be disgusting.
Wouldn't even be fair.
And then he's gone, goodbye. Whereas Cole Hamels, you're set on that guy, and it's going to cost someone like a Tyon or a Glasnow or someone a spot in the rotation down the road. But there's many teams that could go after both these guys. Who would you rather have, Jim?
Depends on the situation. For a team like the Pirates who are on the cusp but don't need long-term rotation help, it would be Cueto. But for a team that's looking to maybe build for the future and have a chance to win now, I know Houston's got a lot of prospects and everything.
They
but
have a lot of money, too.
They're a team that could go and get Hamels because they could give up those types of players, and he's somebody that can help them now and 2-3 years from now. We've seen it, and this isn't a knock on the Buccos. It's hard to win when you haven't won for a while. The first 2 years that the Buccos were good, they fizzled out down the stretch. Then they figured it out. It's good to have these veteran guys to help your younger guys figure it out sooner. So sometimes you need that extra veteran presence. A.J. Burnett was a huge get for the Pirates. He really helped those young guys learn how to win. And Cole Hamels can do that for you.
Well, you look in the case of Cole Hamels, too. I mean, he starred in that World Series victory for the Phillies back when they won.
Yeah, he knows how to win. So if you need a rental guy to help you win right now but no future depth, Cueto's the guy. But if you're looking for somebody to help you now and in the future, Hamels is your guy.
And if you miss out on Hamels, the guy in a similar situation is Clay Buchholz. He could be a nice fallback option for you as well.
Buchholz.
And he's going to cost you a lot less. So, actually, I could see the Pirates looking at Buchholz way before Hamels.
I don't know if I see Buchholz leaving Boston, though.
No, I don't see it either. I think Boston's going to get back in this race, and they're actually going to be trying to add to their team instead of subtract. And Buchholz is going to be a part of that.
I just don't see
rotation.
why the Pirates would want to give up a lot for somebody that's going to be here for a long time. With Tyon, Kingham, and Glasnow, available to come up next year, maybe not right at the beginning of the year. I don't know. Their rotation seems set. So unless you're going to give one of them up and you think that Hamels being good right now is better than waiting and banking on one of them being good in the future, maybe. But I don't know. I don't like it. I ain't giving up a young guy for a 31-year-old guy.
Yeah, I think if the Buccos said they are in on pitchers, they want to trade for a pitcher. Now, I agree. I would not make it someone like Cole Hamels. I'd go out if you're going to go big. I'd go after someone like Johnny Cueto, or I'd go with a lesser guy like Jeff Samardzija or something. And then you still have your rotation for the future. But the Houston Astros, I'd go after the big guys like Cole Hamels, try to get a long-term guy in here. Clay Buchholz, you could get him in. Or you could go Johnny Cueto, too, and just keep a guy for the end of the season.
Even Samardzija. I mean, it's a fluke to me, I would think, that he's playing as bad as he is right now. Not that he's playing terrible, but this is a guy who's been beast over the last couple years.
Yeah, and his ERA might let you get him at a little bit of a discount. Now, he's pitching better recently, so he's still going to command something, but you might be able to get him a little bit cheaper than the rest of these guys, and he's still someone. Let me tell you, if Jeff Samardzija was in the Pirates rotation, I would love that.
Yeah, his ERA wouldn't be 4.02, I'll tell you that. It'd be like 0.24.
But then there's someone like the Dodgers. They could go after someone like Cole Hamels. They could bring a guy in here that has time left on their contract. Who else? San Francisco? Do you see them bringing in a pitcher?
Maybe. They might be able to use some offensive help out there, too.
I mean, the one guy out there is Madison Bumgarner. It'd be nice. I think they'd go more after a guy like Johnny Cueto, too, a guy they can pay for the rest of this season, and then they don't have to worry about his contract afterwards. But we'll have to see. I mean, there's a lot of decision teams got to make. It depends on how much money you have to spend and how many years you want to spend that money and what you have in the future.
Well, you got to look, too. I mean, you look at people like Matt Cain, too, who's obviously way past his prime now. If he could even be a shell of his former self.
How about the New York Yankees? I could see them bringing in Cole Hamels.
They need somebody. CC Sabathia is really struggling.
Yeah, he's garbage. I mean, they got Pineda, who was dominant at the beginning of the season. He cooled off a little bit, but he's still a good pitcher. Tanaka's okay. I mean, he's not his dominant self he showed before his injury, but he's still a pretty good pitcher. They got that Luis Severino, who they could call up, who is dominating in the minors, and I believe is going to be a very good pitcher. And then you bring in someone like a Cole Hamels. I mean, that's a good rotation, and it should help keep you at the top of that division.
Well, I mean, Pineda and Tanaka are actually both coming off really good starts.
And you know the Chicago Cubs got a bunch of money, so they could always do something crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. They would be smart to stand pat, I think. Maybe one move. I wouldn't mortgage all those good young players just yet.
Well, they have a ton, man.
I was going to say, they could afford to... They're going to have to jettison an outfielder or an infielder sooner or later.
I mean, you can only play 8 fielders, and they got 20 good ones, so you got to do something with some of them.
Well, I'd still hang tight at least till the end of this year to see exactly what you got with Chris Bryant and Addison Russell. You said it yourself, Dash. Bryant might move to the outfield, so he might not even stick at third base. That might open up a hole for one of those young infielders.
They actually have prospects, though, in the minors that they don't even have to worry about. Even Kyle Schwarber they could keep around. But they have prospects out the wazoo, really. And they could bring in a guy who will say, hey, I'll pay all Cole Hamels' contract, and I'll give you some of these younger good prospects that won't affect our future at all, really.
I'll tell you what. Well, what would you think of Starlin Castro going to the Mets for one of those
There's
young
another
pitchers?
guy. Yeah, Starlin Castro could definitely be traded as well.
So, I mean, I definitely see Castro being the odd man out at some point or another in that infield.
It's possible, yes.
I just don't think the Cubs can do enough without mortgaging too much to be able to overcome the Pirates and the Cardinals. A, for the division win. We know they're probably not getting that. B, they're going to be in the wild card. They might end up facing one of those teams. The Buccos didn't make... They did that, with the Marlon Byrd year, but they didn't make huge moves and mortgage a lot. They stayed pat. They built from within. That's what the Cubs are doing. So I don't know. It's too soon for me to start trading these prospects. Let's see what some of them can do in the majors before you start moving them around. Figure out which ones you want and which ones you're willing to give up.
And don't forget there's also Kyle Schwarber, too. So, I mean, you might be looking at a possible move to the outfield, which actually might keep Chris Bryant inside.
It's going to be tough, man. Like I said, they have too many players. Bryant could have moved to the
Depth
outfield.
is never a
Schwarber could have
problem.
moved to the outfield. They already got a big-time prospect in Jorge Soler, who looks like he's going to be a good player in the outfield. They got Elber Elmora, McKinney in the minors, who are both outfielders. So they could deal some of those outfielders. Not the big ones, though. I'd keep Schwarber. I'd keep Bryant, obviously. They're not going to do anything with Bryant. And or Soler or Schwarber, they're going to keep those guys. It'd be nice to see Schwarber turn into a catcher, but that's not going to happen. But we're getting off track. Cueto, Hamels, I'm going to say it all depends, really. You can't really compare the two. Like you both of you said, it all depends what you're looking for and what
one's
your
a
future
rental,
looks
one's
like.
long-term.
But either way, you add one of these two guys, or even Shields, Buchholz, or Samardzija to your rotation, and you're putting yourself in a good position to make a run for the playoff spot and a World Series.
Believe it, GMs around the major leagues, if you need to know who you want to get and who's going to help your team win, you need to start tuning into The Spread. We got all the baseball news.
Please believe.
But that wraps up our Extra Bases segment this week. Thank you for coming in, Dash and 47. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, you can follow us on Twitter at bet_thespread. You can follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the website at thespreadnews.simplesite.com. Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. And keep subscribing to our YouTube channel.